The more unexpected it was, the higher the success rate of the assassination. Zemo, be careful. The first to react was true immortal Zangya. As an assassin, Shadowless's Tao of assassination was taught by true immortal Zangya. Naturally, he could sense what Shadowless was thinking. However, he was seriously injured and was on the verge of death. Even his reaction was much slower, let alone helping. In fact, his reaction was even slower than Su Zemo's. This was because just as Shadowless was about to attack, Su Zemo's spiritual sense suddenly warned him. He felt a strong sense of danger. The aura of death was so strong that it almost suffocated him. This might be the greatest danger he had encountered ever since he ascended to the upper world. An assassination attempt from a top-tier perfected immortal expert. It was too fast. Su Zemo could not see Shadowless's figure, let alone the direction and trajectory of his attack. However, he knew that Shadowless had already attacked. More importantly, although young Wuxia and senior sister Mo Qing were present, none of them could help him. By the time the two of them reacted, he would have already been reduced to a corpse. Teleportation. His figure and aura were completely locked onto by Shadowless. Against the might of a perfected immortal expert, he could not teleport at all. Furthermore, the speed of the true Dragon 9 flashes was even slower than teleportation. There was no time at all. If even the true Dragon 9 flashes could not do it, it was even more too late to rely on ethereal wings, rock wings, ground-traversing golden light, and other mystic powers. Before he could release all of these divine abilities, Zhuing had already killed him. Even if he wanted to abandon Qinglian's true body and release his essence spirit, he could not be faster than Shadowless's sword. At the end of the day, the difference in strength between both parties was too great. His many trump cards were practically useless in the face of absolute power. Moreover, for a top-tier assassin like Shadowless, once he attacked, he would definitely give it his all. He would not underestimate his opponent just because his opponent was weak. Therefore, when Shadowless attacked, he completely cut off all of Su Zemo's escape routes. He wanted to kill him in one strike. Poof! Under everyone's gaze, Su Zemo's glabella was pierced by a sword. Shadowless's figure suddenly appeared. It's over. Young Wuxia was shocked. He clenched his fists tightly with a sorrowful expression. It was too fast. The entire process seemed slow, but in fact, it only took an instant. With just a thought, Shadowless's sword had already pierced through Su Zemo's head. Mo Qing's eyes dimmed. There were no miracles in this world. Since Shadowless had attacked, he would definitely kill all of Su Zemo's chances of survival. Chapter 2461. Whoosh! Su Zemo had just stabilized himself when a jade-colored light flew from Shadowless' sword and entered his sea of consciousness. Many true immortals could see that this jade-colored light seemed to be a book made of jade. Cicada shell shedding? Shadowless murmured, a hint of surprise flashing past his long and narrow eyes. Everything happened so quickly that other than Zhu Wuing and Su Zemo, most of the onlookers did not know what was going on. Shadowless was right. Su Zemo had just used a peerless divine ability, Cicada Shell Shedding. Cicada Shell Shedding was a bit special. To use this divine ability, one had to have a clone that belonged to oneself. Then, use the clone to complete the process of Cicada Shell Shedding. When one suffered a fatal attack, the clone would take the damage, and the main body would escape. However, this was not what surprised Shadowless, because even if someone used Cicada Shell Shedding, they would not be able to escape from his Shadowless sword. His sword was extremely fast and powerful. It was enough to pierce through Su Zemo's clone and main body. It would not give Su Zemo a chance to escape at all. However, there was still a change in the situation. In order to kill in one strike, Shadowless' sword went straight for Su Zemo's sea of consciousness. When his sword entered Su Zemo's sea of consciousness, he felt a huge resistance. The tip of the sword seemed to have hit something hard, and could not pierce through. The Shadowless sword paused for a moment, and his figure was revealed. The Shadowless sword had stabbed the Jade Purity book, and the clone that was destroyed was the primeval body that Su Zemo had used the Jade Purity book to condense. No matter how sharp the Shadowless sword was, it could not pierce through the Jade Purity book. This Jade book had been passed down through the ages. It was an indestructible treasure in itself. and it even contained a world within it. Only an emperor weapon would be able to destroy it. It was this momentary pause that gave Su Zimo a chance to escape. He used his teleportation divine ability and escaped to Fairy Mo Qing's side. Then, the Jade Purity Book returned to his sea of consciousness. It did not matter if the primeval body was destroyed. He could use it again in a few days. The whole process seemed simple, but Su Zimo thought back to it. Every step was frightening. If his judgment had been slightly off, he would have died on the spot. You have the Jade Purity Book, one of the 3 pure Jade books. Shadowless's eyes were extremely sharp. He recognized the origin of the Jade Purity Book in an instant. The perfected immortal's eyes lit up. The 3 pure Jade Purity Book. Although there was only one book, it was a priceless treasure. Suddenly, the sound of a sharp blade slicing through the air rang out in the air. It was so fast that it was ear-piercing. By the time everyone heard the voice, a beam of golden light had already arrived before them. Its power was terrifying, and it almost tore through the void. Its target was Ju Wuxia. 2. Furthermore, the timing of the explosion of this golden light could be said to be perfect. Shadowless had just failed to attack, and his figure was revealed. Most of his attention was focused on Su Zimo and his Jade Purity Book, and he was slightly distracted. At this moment, the golden light arrived in an instant. Shadowless's expression darkened. He channeled his Dao fruit and released a massive amount of quintessential essence. Gripping the Shadowless sword tightly, he slashed at the golden light. Clang! The Shadowless sword collided with the golden light, producing a sharp sound. Shadowless shuddered. At the same time, the golden light revealed its true form. It was a golden arrow. The power of that arrow was too strong. The light in his eyes was also getting weaker. This was the Emperor of Assassins who founded Hidden Death Sect in Tianhuang mainland and experienced the ancient war. After ascending, another 400,000 years had passed, but he still reached the end of his life. True immortal Zangya was like a lamp that had run out of oil. He didn't have any extra energy to heal the injuries on his body. The carriage had already started moving, but it was unusually silent inside, filled with the sadness of parting. End of chapter. Chapter 2470. Kill. The heaven immortals of Absolute Thunder City hollered and attacked one after another, causing a huge battle to break out. Su Zimo's aura intensified, and a book flew out from his glabella. It shone with a clear green light and condensed into a body rapidly. However, the body looked a little strange. It resembled a dragon and phoenix with a dragon head and phoenix tail. It had horns and sharp claws that shone with a cold glint. There was even a pair of gigantic wings on the back of the body. The primordial beginning body, that was condensed using the Pure Jade manual, could change its form, according to Su Zimo's will. To him, the taboo dragon phoenix was the most familiar. Su Zimo once possessed a dragon phoenix true body, and was familiar with all the combat techniques of the taboo dragon phoenix. The primordial beginning body condensed from the Pure Jade manual did not have an essence spirit, and could not release any essence spirit secret skills, divine powers and Dao techniques. However, the primordial beginning body was indestructible and could release extremely terrifying lethality in melee combat after transforming into the form of the taboo dragon phoenix. Su Zimo multitasked and controlled the dragon phoenix true body to charge into the crowd with a single thought. One after another, divine weapons streaked through the air, interweaving into an impenetrable net that enveloped the dragon phoenix true body. The dragon phoenix true body flapped its wings, and its movement technique became unusually agile. It released the true dragon's 9 flashes consecutively, and found a gap in the net to pass through. It was a wonderful feeling. At that moment, it was as though the dragon phoenix true body had returned to his side. The dragon phoenix true body broke through the obstruction of the divine weapons, and charged into the crowd in the blink of an eye. Poof, poof, poof. A few low-level heaven immortals could not stop it, and were crushed into pieces by the dragon phoenix true body. Blood mist scattered in midair, and their essence spirits were destroyed. They died on the spot. Swash! The nearest executioner swung his saber at the dragon phoenix body, unleashing countless saber flashes in an instant. Along with the slash, the saber intent of punishment and killing descended, and many strange phenomena appeared in the surroundings, as though countless tortures were sweeping over. The executioner was also a heaven immortal expert. The saber intent unleashed by the slash was comparable to various peerless abilities. However, the dragon phoenix body did not have a primordial spirit flesh and blood. He could not sense this kind of saber intent at all. Whoosh! The dragon phoenix figure moved and charged into the executioner's arms. The huge dragon phoenix claw pierced through the executioner's armor and tore the executioner in half. This executioner's primordial spirit left his body. His expression was one of horror, wishing to escape from this place. However, a shadow shrouded over, and the body of the dragon and phoenix swallowed this person's primordial spirit. With a smack of its mouth, this person's primordial spirit was extinguished, and his body and Tao vanished. The other heaven immortal expert had just rushed up when the dragon phoenix wings swept over, turning into a cold light in midair, and directly chopping this person's head in half. Another person died on the spot. Su Zimo's spirits were greatly lifted. He was all too familiar with the dragon phoenix body. He didn't even need to use too much of his consciousness to control this body. The dragon phoenix true body had once accompanied him on his conquest of Tianhuang mainland. All the battles of this dragon phoenix body were like a kind of instinct that had been deeply imprinted in his memory. Furthermore, the dragon phoenix body originated from the Clear Jade Manual, a taboo secret manual for body tempering. Chapter 2473. There is someone who knows your whereabouts and can even recognize your disguised appearance. There must be such a person in the heaven realm, and there is more than one. Yunju pondered and said, but those who have such means are at least immortal kings. You were only an earth immortal at that time. Why would an immortal king target you? Su Zimo did not tell Yunju about Qinglian's true identity. This was still his biggest secret, and would bring him disaster. He could not casually talk about it. Seeing Su Zimo's silence, Yunju smiled and said half-jokingly, as far as I know, there is such a big shot in the divine firmament celestial realm. He is the Academy Patriarch, but he has no reason to do so. Moreover, I was also present during the immortal sect selection. The process was unpredictable, and there were several twists and turns. In the end, it was the Heaven and Earth Academy who protected you, and made Yuanzhua return empty-handed. Yes, Su Zimo nodded. When he participated in the immortal sect selection, his initial goal was to join the Mountain and Sea Celestial sect. However, in the end, he was able to join the Heaven and Earth Academy by chance. The prison suppression cauldron on you is indeed very attractive to immortal kings. With the Academy Patriarch's ability, it is not difficult for him to deduce that you have the prison suppression cauldron. Yunju said, but if he wants your prison suppression cauldron, he can attack at any time. There are too many opportunities, so there is no need to do something unnecessary. My preliminary guess is that an immortal king should know about the grudge between you and Yuanzhua. This immortal king respected his status, and did not want to attack an earth immortal like you. Therefore, he sent a letter to Yuanzhua, and asked him to deal with it himself. Su Zimo remained silent. If what Yunju said was true, this matter would be simple. Previously, he was just overthinking things and being overly suspicious. He had indeed suspected the Academy Patriarch for a moment. However, thinking about it carefully, there were many things wrong. Firstly, because of the Heaven and Earth Academy's insistence, he could escape the pursuit of Duke Yuanzhua and save his life. Otherwise, he would be a corpse now. Secondly, as Yunju said, if he was really the Patriarch of the Academy, what did he want to do? The Patriarch of the Academy could have killed Yi Futian a long time ago, whether it was for his prison-suppressing cauldron, or the real body of Qinglian. How could he let Yi Futian live until now? Thirdly, the Patriarch of the Academy not only accepted him as a registered disciple, but also saved his life. Back then, They had been ambushed by celestial kings on their way back from the Flaming Sun Immortal Kingdom after participating in the Earth ranking contest. It was because of the Patriarch of the Academy that they were spared. Su Zimo had always had a premonition that the Celestial King's assassination attempt was most likely directed at him. Moreover, the Patriarch of the Academy had given him a communication jade token. In the Jade Heaven Immortal Realm, it was with the help of this transmission jade pendant that he was able to bring Momo out of danger and return to the Academy. Fourth, if it was the Patriarch of the Academy, it meant that from the moment he sent the letter to the moment he entered the Qianquan Academy, the entire process was within the calculations of the Academy's Patriarch. But was this possible? There were too many variables in the immortal sex selection. No matter how clever the Patriarch of the Academy was, how could he have predicted all the variables? Moreover, Su Zimo had interacted with the Patriarch of the Academy before. He could not sense any hostility from the Patriarch of the Academy. Moreover, from the moment he entered the Qianquan Academy until now, neither the Academy nor the Patriarch of the Academy had done anything to let him down. He suspected that the Patriarch of the Academy was a little narrow-minded. Su Zimo had a feeling that the mysterious person who had ambushed him with King Yunyu back then was very likely the person who had sent the letter to the commandery Prince Yuanzhua. He had heard this person's voice before. It was definitely not the Patriarch of the Academy. However, this mysterious person also had the ability to deduce all things, see through heaven and earth, and see through illusions. It was very similar to the Patriarch of the Academy, but it was very well hidden. At least, Yunju had never heard of this person. What did this mysterious person have to do with the ambush after the Earthless battle? Similar to the Patriarch of the Academy, very well hidden. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat, and a figure appeared in his mind. It was Elder Xian, who was guarding the secret pavilion in the Qianquan Academy. Elder Xian's position in the academy was definitely not just an old man guarding the secret pavilion. When he had condensed the 10th step of the Tao Heart Ladder, Elder Xian was also present. Elder Xian's attitude when talking to the Patriarch of the Academy was very casual. It was as if he did not care about the status of the Patriarch of the Academy at all. The Patriarch of the Academy did not care either. It was as if he had silently acknowledged this point. Elder Xian's position in the Qianquan Academy was very special. Moreover, Su Zimo had seen him tear open the void and leave with his own eyes. He was obviously an immortal king expert. "Oh right," Yunju suddenly said. "Over the years, I have searched through some ancient books and went to some ancient ruins. I found some information about the Seamless Emperor." Yunju's words interrupted Su Zimo's thoughts. What information? Su Zimo asked subconsciously. After all, he was also very curious about the Seamless Emperor. Yunju said, "The fall of the Seamless Emperor seems to be related to a turmoil that swept through the 3,000 worlds and affected all living beings." Turmoil? Su Zimo frowned slightly. Yunju was also a little confused. She said, "Many ancient books did not describe this turmoil in detail. Even now, I am not sure if this turmoil really exists. Moreover, there are no records about the cause, process, or end of this turmoil. I only found some blurry records in some ancient ruins. There were incomplete words such as ikama termo kamatin kamadi kama de qian, and so on." Su Zimo's expression changed. Deqian? Could it be referring to the Deqian world? Yunju pondered for a while and suddenly said, "There is one more thing. I have browsed through the ancient books of the last 10 epochs. The civilizations of each epoch were different. Even the words recorded were strange. However, in these epochs there was one word, Demon Master." Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. Chapter 2475. Young Master. Momo's heart skipped a beat when she heard that voice. She turned around with tears in her eyes. Su Zimo rubbed Momo's head gently and smiled gently. With a gentle expression he said, "Don't worry, I'll handle it." Yes. Momo nodded her head vigorously. For some reason, as long as Su Zimo was by his side, his nervousness, panic and confusion just now seemed to vanish instantly as he calmed down. Senior brother. The Scarlet Princess and Lu Ping heaved a sigh of relief as well. Su Zimo nodded towards the two of them, indicating for them to be at ease. "Hey, isn't this Senior Brother Su?" Behind Fang Qingyan, a rank 9 heavenly immortal of the academy asked with a smile. "Senior Brother Su, you came at the right time. That servant of yours broke the rules of the academy. What do you think we should do?" "What else can we do? Unless Senior Brother Su wants to break the rules of the academy?" Another disciple of the academy replied. Hee. The person who spoke first laughed weirdly and said, "That might not be the case. Senior Brother Su is a peerless genius who ascended the 9th step of the Tao Heart staircase and condensed the 10th step. He's arrogant and doesn't care about the rules of the academy. That might not be the case." The two of them echoed each other in an eccentric manner. Fang Qingyan merely smiled faintly and gave his silent consent to this scene. Su Zimo did not even look at the other party and acted as though he did not hear anything. He merely turned around and asked, "Lu Ping, what happened?" Lu Ping replied hurriedly, "Tao Zi and I were in front of Yuan Ling Pavilion to collect the year's spirit essence stones. We did not walk far before we were blocked by more than 10 servants of Senior Brother Fang. They're cursing at Tao Zi for no reason at all. They're spewing profanities non-stop." At that point, Lu Ping paused for a moment as though he was recalling those curses. Feeling indignant, he glared at the servants opposite him. Lu Ping continued, "Tao Zi was so angry that she pushed the person in front of her away and wanted to leave. She did not injure that person at all. Who would have thought that Senior Brother Fang and the others would suddenly appear and surround us? They said that Tao Zi had broken the rules of the academy by having a private fight in the academy and injuring people of the academy. Senior Brother Fang didn't give Tao Zi a chance to explain and attacked her directly. Fortunately, Tao Zi's waist token blocked the attack and saved her life." Lu Ping quickly described the conflict that had just taken place. After hearing this, Su Zimo already had an idea in his heart. The other party's actions were directed at him. Fang Qingyan slowly opened his mouth and said, "Junior Apprentice Brother Lu, it's easy for you to say. That servant of mine has already died from his serious injuries, and his Tao has dissipated." "What?" Lu Ping was shocked. Then he said firmly, "That's impossible. Bring it up." Fang Qingyan waved his hand. Behind him, a few servants carried up the corpse of another servant. "This person did seem to have died not too long ago. It wasn't me. I didn't kill him. I just pushed him." Momo shook her head hurriedly and tried her best to defend herself. "It seems that Senior Brother Fang is not making a fuss over nothing. He is making a mountain out of a molehill. Someone died." "That's right. If someone died, it wouldn't be as simple as a private fight." Another disciple of the academy pursed his lips and whispered, "The few of you can't really think that Senior Brother Fang's servant was killed by that child, right?" "Ah, what do you mean by that?" the few people at the side asked. That person sneered. "It's obvious that Senior Brother Fang and the others killed that servant and framed the other party to make things difficult for Senior Brother Su. These are all your guesses, right? What evidence do you have?" Another hostage asked. That person shrugged his shoulders. "Who would leave evidence for something like this?" Lu Ping pointed to the servant's corpse and shouted, "I was there at that time. When Tao Zi pushed him away, he was still fine." "Nonsense, Brother Wang was seriously injured at that time, and not long after he died." A few of Fang Qingyan's servants hurriedly stood out to argue. The scene was chaotic. Su Zimo finally turned around and looked towards Fang Qingyan. Their gazes collided in midair, opposing each other without any intention of backing down. The smell of gunpowder was thick. Su Zimo said, "Fang Qingyan, I haven't settled my grudges with you after coming out of seclusion this time round. Yet you jumped out first. A life for a life. Do I need to say more?" Fang Qingyan spread his hands with a calm expression. A servant's life is also a life. Your servant broke the rules of the academy and killed someone, so he has to pay with his life. If he doesn't die, you will. In fact, even without the Moonlight Sword Immortal's urging, Fang Qingyan was prepared to make a move on Su Zimo. Back then, he plotted to kill Yang Ruoxu and Su Zimo. In the end, the two of them did not die and Tang Peng died outside. If nothing went wrong, Su Zimo should already know that he was the one behind it. The two of them would have a battle sooner or later. There was another point. Fang Qingyan felt a huge threat from Su Zimo. Su Zimo's cultivation speed was too fast. He had only been in the inner sect for a few years, but he had already cultivated to become a stage 6 heaven immortal. If he was given more time, and allowed to continue growing, the number 1 seed of the inner sect would probably change. Fang Qingyan continued. Su Zimo, since both of us want to stand up for our servants, I have a suggestion. Let's go to the Sword Discourse Arena and settle all our grudges together. This was a plan that he had been plotting for a long time. As long as he angered Su Zimo and forced him to go to the Sword Discourse Arena, he would not give Su Zimo any chance. Senior brother Su don't agree to it. Princess Qi Hong and Lu Ping hurriedly stopped him. In their opinion, Su Zimo was only a stage 6 heaven immortal after all. On the other hand, Fang Qingyan had already cultivated to the peak of a stage 9 heaven immortal. He was the number 1 in the inner sect, and had the strongest combat strength. He was also predicted to be the 10th paragon on the heaven roll. The difference between the two of them was too great. Once they went to the Sword Discourse Arena, Su Zimo would definitely lose. Fang Qingyan raised his brows slightly and said, Su Zimo, don't worry. According to the rules of the academy, there is no life and death on the Sword Discourse Arena. I will try my best to control myself and spare your life. Su Zimo looked at Fang Qingyan without saying a word with a cold expression. Senior brother Su can't be afraid, right? Chapter 2477. Su Zimo, what are you trying to do? Fang Qingyan's hair was grabbed by Su Zimo as he staggered. His face was covered in blood, and his single eye gradually revealed a trace of fear. He suddenly realized that the person he was facing could not be judged by common sense. This person was simply a lunatic. Fang Qingyan thought that he was unparalleled in intelligence, strategizing and predicting things like a god. Nobody and nothing could escape from his calculations. Back then, Yang Ruoxu was almost crippled by his schemes. However, he could not figure out what Su Zimo was trying to do. Furthermore, he had already suffered a few consecutive setbacks in Su Zimo's hands. In the blink of an eye, Su Zimo had already arrived in front of Momo, with Fang Qingyan in tow. Su Zimo's palm pressed down forcefully. Fang Qingyan could not resist and knelt on the ground with a thud once more, feeling a sharp pain. Fang Qingyan was about to curse when he realized that Su Zimo had also squatted down. The two of them faced each other. Looking at Su Zimo's cold eyes, Fang Qingyan's heart turned cold, and he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. Fang Qingyan, you're really getting more and more despicable. Su Zimo's face darkened. If you want to deal with me, come and find me directly. Are you worthy of being the number 1 in the inner sect for bullying a child Dao beside me? This time, Su Zimo was truly enraged. Although Momo was safe and sound, that was because of Yinju's waste token. If not for that waste token, Momo might have already died. Many academy disciples were watching from the side. Fang Qingyan naturally refused to show weakness. Taking a deep breath, he braced himself and said, Su Zimo, say what you want to do. If I, Fang Qingyan, am afraid of you, I'm not worthy of being an academy disciple. Fang Qingyan was very clear that with such a huge commotion here, the disciplinary elders of the inner sect and senior brother, Yuehua, would arrive at any time. As long as he could stall for time, he could escape successfully. At that time, it would be Su Zimo's death. Don't be nervous. Looking at the outwardly tough Fang Qingyan, Su Zimo suddenly smiled and patted the latter's face. Since you bullied Tao Yao with your numbers advantage, and forced him to bow and apologize to you guys, there shouldn't be a problem for me to make you apologize to him now, right? You want me to apologize to your servant? Fang Qingyan sneered and spat. Dream on. It's all right. Su Zimo smiled and said, "If you don't apologize, I can teach you." Before he finished speaking, the smile on Su Zimo's face had already disappeared. His palm suddenly exerted force, pressing down on Fang Qingyun's head and smashing it into the ground. Dong! Fang Qingyun's forehead hit the ground solidly, emitting a crisp sound. When he raised his head, his forehead was already badly mutilated, and even his bones could be faintly seen. Su! Fang Qingyun flew into a rage and was just about to curse out loud. Dong! Su Zimo pressed down on his head and smashed it into the ground once more. This time round, Fang Qingyun was so dizzy from the smashing that he could not say a single word. Dong! 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 Su Zimo pressed down on Fang Qingyun's head and kowtowed 9 consecutive times in front of Momo before stopping. By the time Fang Qingyun was lifted up by Su Zimo again, his face was already covered in blood, and he was in an extremely miserable state. His original appearance could not be seen. There was silence in the huge square. Many disciples of the academy looked at this scene in shock. The number 1 of the academy's inner sect, senior brother Fang, had his head forcefully pressed down and kowtowed 9 times to a Dao child. He's just a Dao child, and senior brother Su is already so protective of him. And the 17th place on the prediction heaven list was indeed Su Zimo's name. Name: Su Zimo. Realm: Stage 6 Heaven Immortal. Identity: inner disciple of Qingkuan Academy, inheritor of Astral Sect's secret technique, inheritor of Jade Purity. After the confrontation at Green Cloud Mountain, it was no longer a secret that Su Zimo had Jade Purity. Battle record: 8,000 years ago, when he was a Stage 5 Heaven Immortal, he relied on a time divine power to defeat the number 1 Heaven Immortal in Jade Firmament Immortal Domains Langfeng City by Yu. After cultivating to Stage 6 Heaven Immortal, he went down the mountain again and snuck into Thunder City alone. He killed Duke Yuanzhua and hundreds of Heaven Immortal experts, burned Thunder City to the ground, and escaped unscathed. In all fairness, there were only 2 battles in the battle record section, which was not eye-catching. Many experts on the prediction heaven list had at least a dozen battles in the battle record section, and some even had hundreds of battles. The tens of thousands of words were extremely shocking. Su Zimo's battle record was a whole lot worse than the top 20 Heaven Immortals. Even compared to Yan Bingying, who was ranked 43rd, his battle record was a little weaker. Many disciples of the academy frowned and looked confused. They did not know how Su Zimo could be ranked 17th. Everyone continued to browse. The last section was the evaluation of Su Zimo by the perfected immortal, who managed the heaven list of the Divine Firmament Palace. Unexpectedly, the evaluation was voluminous and extremely detailed, and it actually took up far more space than the other cultivators. Evaluation: this kid was already famous when he was an Earth Immortal, and won the first place of the Earth list. He has great potential in many trump cards. He has no obvious weaknesses in divine powers, spells, and close combat. He has mastered the heavenly kill and earthly kill sword techniques, a sound domain secret technique similar to the dragon's roar, and the true dragon's 9 flashes. He is good at a divine power secret technique that increases his strength. He knows the supreme profound spirit Big Dipper Sutra. His primordial spirit is extremely powerful, far beyond his peers. He has mastered many primordial spirit secret techniques. Although this lad has displayed his powerful combat strength in the Heavenly Immortal stage in the 2 battles in Thunder City and Wind City, his cultivation is not high. He is only a 6th level Heavenly Immortal. Therefore, it is predicted that the upper limit of the heavenly rankings will not be too high. In the first version of the prediction heaven list, Yun Ting was ranked 3rd, because he was a Stage 8 Heaven Immortal, and had not reached the peak of Heaven Immortal. On the heaven list, the overall strength was evaluated, and one's cultivation was an extremely important criterion. The evaluation given by the Divine Firmament Palace was not over yet. Everyone continued to read. Chapter 2479. High up in the sky, the Moonlight Sword Immortal frowned slightly. The development of the situation was somewhat beyond her expectations. Shaoli grinned slightly and said, To think that this Su Zimo really has some skills to be able to escape alive from the shadowless sword. Shaoli knew that even he did not have the confidence to survive against the shadowless sword. The moonlight sword immortal snorted coldly. He was just lucky. Shadowless must have underestimated him. If he had attacked with his full strength, there's no way he could have survived. That's right. Shaoli hurriedly agreed. In reality, for a top assassin like Shadowless, he would go all out regardless of the opponent's strength. Even a lion would go all out to capture a rabbit to be absolutely safe. The moonlight sword immortal, and Shaoli did not know that not only did Shadowless attack with his full strength, he even suffered a huge loss. Because of Su Zimo's counterattack, Shadowless lost a total of 60,000 years of his lifespan. At that time, only Su Zimo and Shadowless could sense this change. If the perfected immortals of Divine Firmament Palace knew about this, Su Zimo's ranking would probably rise, and he would enter the top 10 of the heaven ranking. Senior brother, look over there. The inner sect's disciplinary elder is here. Shaoli pointed to the east. Then his expression changed. Yang Ruoxu is here too. Come, let's go over too. The moonlight sword immortal walked over calmly. What's going on? The disciplinary elder of the inner sect, Elder Chen, descended. His face darkened when he saw this scene. Mingzhi and Guo Yuan hurried forward when they saw Elder Chen. They recounted the entire incident to him. Su Zimo, why aren't you releasing him? Elder Chen said sternly. Private fights are not allowed in the academy. You attacked Fang Qingyuan and violated the sect rules. You even injured your fellow disciple. Kneel down and admit your guilt. The other disciples of the academy remained silent. Everyone knew that Su Zimo was indeed the one who made the first move, and there was no way to refute that. If they were punished according to the sect rules, Su Zimo would definitely not be able to keep his cultivation. Princess Qi Hong and Lu Ping were anxious, but they could not think of any solution. Only Su Zimo looked calm. Seeing the appearance of the Patriarch of Law Enforcement, he had no intention of letting Fang Qingyuan go. He said lightly, Elder Chen, you've come at the right time. I'm not harming my fellow disciples, but punishing evil for the academy. Nonsense! Mingzhi shouted. Everyone is watching. There are countless fellow disciples as witnesses, and Elder Chen is also here. He can see clearly and see through everything. How can you confuse right and wrong and reverse black and white? Su Zimo, not only did you launch a sneak attack on Senior Brother Fang, you even slandered Senior Brother Fang as a villain. Guo Yuan also sneered and said, You're really vicious. You even want to kill people in the heart. Indeed, it was Senior Brother Su who made the first move. But it all started because Senior Apprentice Brother Fang was looking for trouble with that child. Senior Apprentice Brother Su was so angry that he couldn't control himself. So what? It was Senior Brother Su who ignored the sect rules and attacked Senior Brother Fang first. Many cultivators in the crowd spoke one after another. After listening for a while, Elder Chen understood and said slowly with a darkened expression, Su Zimo, if you don't let him go, don't blame me for taking you down. The Patriarch of Law Enforcement of the inner sect was at True Self realm. There was naturally no way Su Zimo could defend against a perfected immortal. If not for the fact that Elder Chen knew that Su Zimo was an in-name disciple of the Patriarch and had some reservations, he would have made a move long ago. However, Tang Peng had already died long ago. Not even his corpse was left. Clap, clap, clap. The moonlight sword immortal clapped her hands and said, Junior Brother Yang, this story is pretty good. You must have spent a lot of effort. Yang Ruoxu looked at the moonlight sword immortal with a fearless expression and said in a low voice, I won't lie about this kind of thing. In fact, if these words were said by someone else, the academy disciples would have some doubts. However, if it was said by Yang Ruoxu, most of the academy disciples believed it. Everyone knew that Yang Ruoxu cultivated the Overwhelming Righteousness Sutra and was full of righteousness. If there was any falsehood in this matter, his cultivation would be crippled because of it. Actually. At that moment, a weak voice came from the square. Senior Brother Yang is telling the truth. Although this voice was weak, it attracted countless gazes. The person who spoke was Yan Bingying. Her face was pale, and she was under immense pressure to say these words. No one knew how much courage she had to muster. Many cultivators knew that Yin Bingying had once followed Fang Qingyun. The weight of her words was extremely heavy. If Fang Qingyun really did these things, then Su Zimo not only did not violate the sex rules by attacking him, but it could also be considered as eradicating a disaster for the academy and making a great contribution. The peak that you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.